Okay, 1 second. We are live.
I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Toms River Township Council for May 26, 2020. Rise for a salute of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is convened in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey. Let the official minutes reflect that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by publishing a notice in the Asbury Park Press on Wednesday, January 8th, 2020, the Press of Atlantic City, and the Star Ledger, and also forwarded to the Toms River Times, Toms River Patch, and WOVM News on Monday, January 6th, 2020, and therefore posting same on the Town Hall Bulletin Board for such notices, and filing same with the Township Clerk, pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Township Council on Friday, January 3rd, 2020. The meeting dates have also been posted on the Township webpage. For this evening, for the general public, if anyone would have questions for the council or during public comment, you can email your questions to questions@tomsrivertownship.com. In there, we're going to need some information besides your questions. We'll need your name, your address, your town, and also a phone number, because we're going to be able to send you a phone number so you can call in and ask your question. So including your phone number for this portion this evening is very important. Just in case we lose contact with you, we'd be able to call you back. Okay? Township Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilwoman Yurick.
Here.
Councilman Kopp.
Here.
Councilman Lotano.
Here.
Councilman Roderick.
Here.
Councilman Turnbach.
Here.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Here.
Council President Maruka.
Present?
First item, the approval of minutes of May 12th, 2020.
Move the minutes.
Second.
Was that Councilman Lotano?
Councilman Turnbach, sorry.
Bach. Motion was made by Councilman Turnbach, seconded by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
We do not have any honoring resolutions or presentations tonight. So we move on to item number 7, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, adopting amendment number 1 to the redevelopment plan for the Hooper Caudina redevelopment area pursuant to NJSA 40A:12A-7, final reading.
This is a public hearing and the final reading on this ordinance. Anyone that has a question on this from the public or the council, public can email questions to tomsrivertownship.com. Please list your name, address, town you live in, and also a phone number there. We're going to keep this public hearing open for a few minutes and continue on with our business so the public has an opportunity to comment on this ordinance and the final reading and the public comment.
Okay, moving on to number 8 is an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing section 383-5A, subsection A-B, pro shop fees of chapter 383, Parks Municipal of the Township Code to amend the cost of figure skate guards and terry covers. First reading.
Move the resolution. Move the ordinance on first reading.
Councilman Turnbach, second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Turnbach. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Item 9, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Section 348-10.4 of Chapter 348, Land Use and Development Regulations of the Township Code, first reading.
Move the ordinance on first.
Councilman Turnbach, second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurek, second by Councilman Turnbach. Councilwoman Yurek,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
No.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Item 10, a resolution of the Township of Toms River providing for the issuance of general improvement bonds, authorizing the sale of $31,110,000 principal amount of general improvement bonds, Series 2020, authorizing advertisement of a notice of sale, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to sell and award the bonds, determining the form and other details for the bonds, and authorizing other matters relating thereto.
Move
Mr.
the resolution. Oh, sorry.
Davison, do you have anything to comment on this, or?
No specific comment at this time, other than we received a draft rating from S&P this morning. We're maintaining our AA rating with a stable outlook for the future. This is not in New Jersey municipal accounting terms new debt. 2/3 of this bond is permanently funding notes that we have. Those are short-term notes that are renewed annually. The other 1/3, about 10 million, is primarily funding our current year road program that was authorized last year in the bond ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Council's pleasure?
Move the resolution.
Second, Councilman Gagan.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurek, seconded by Council Vice President Gagan. Councilwoman Yurek,
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Latano,
Yes, and as a member of the Finance Committee, we're basically consolidating other outstanding loan debt at a better interest rate. So it's actually a cost savings to the township. So yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Well, yes, we are refinancing $20 million worth of debt, but there's 10 million additional. 4 million of that is for new vehicles this year. And as we'll see in the consent agenda, we're spending an awful lot of money tonight as well, another 400,000 that we're borrowing. So $30 million in debt. We didn't need to spend all of this year. And I am a member of the Finance Committee as well, and I expressed my concerns at those meetings. So I am going to vote no tonight.
Councilman Turnbach,
Vote yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. Then we're going to move on to the consent agenda. This is a consent agenda. All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If discussion is desired on any item, then items will be considered separately. I'm opening this portion of the meeting, so it's going to give the public time. If they want to comment on an item, they can. And at that time, I will ask the council if they have any items to speak on as well. What I'd like to do now is go back to item 7 on our agenda as we open the public hearing on this ordinance for final read. And I believe, Destiny, do we have any, or Joe, do we have anybody in queue with any questions on the final read of item number 7?
Not at this time.
All right.
If
Council-
There are no, Council President, if there are no questions from the public, I have a question that I was hoping that the township planner could address.
Sure. Mr. Roberts, are you available?
Yes, I am, Madam President.
It's my understanding that this VA clinic that we're not going to be getting that. Is that correct?
The VA has put out a pre-solicitation, which was due this past Friday, the 22nd. So they are effectively doing the site selection process again. We have not heard when the deadline would be for the response for a leasing proposal, which would be the next step.
'Cause it was
Okay.
I had heard that the federal government basically said that we are not getting a new VA clinic. It was in the news the other day. So
I can't speak for what was in the news, but the website for the VA had the pre-solicitation about 2 weeks ago, and the deadline was Friday. So it's our understanding, based on the pre-solicitation, that they're had expanded the search area, but they are looking for a site, and the developer that the council named, I believe, at the last council meeting, submitted our site as part of that process, and we'll have to wait to hear what the next step will be from the VA.
now, should the VA not choose this site, these designations that we are placing on this property, wouldn't they afford the same sort of benefits to a developer to do other types of projects as well?
Yes, the redevelopment plan allows for a number of uses. This particular amendment includes a limited retail of a single site, no more than 30,000 square feet. That was not part of the original redevelopment plan, as well as the county site. That's the main purpose of the amendment, to add a sub-area B for the county's expansion property and include the regulations for that, which is
That's the 19:19-01, correct? That's the
Right.
county piece of the
Correct.
property. Now, my other question would be, does this designation inherently increase the property value of surrounding properties?
It's hard to say. This is just an amendment to a redevelopment plan. Whether that increases the property values or not will remain to be seen as the.
Well, development, would you say that development of this site would increase property values in adjacent properties? Or is
can't
that
really-
not really your forte? If it's
Really
not,
would-
if you're uncomfortable commenting, that's fine.
Generally, investment in property has a positive impact on property around it, but I can't really comment beyond that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Roberts. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. You're welcome.
Any other questions from the council? Could we have a motion to close the public comment?
Motion to close the public comment portion of this ordinance.
Councilman Turnbuck, I'll second Councilwoman Hurick's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Council
Move
Scott?
the ordinance on final.
Councilman Turnbuck, second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Turnback. Councilwoman Yurick? That was a yes?
That was a yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
it wasn't picked up. Okay, Councilman Turnback?
Yes, and I'd just like to thank Dave Roberts for all the work he's done on this project. Every step of the way, we appreciate you, Mr. Roberts. And that's a yes.
Councilman Cobb?
Yes.
Councilman Lozano?
Yes.
Councilman Rodrick?
Well, without the VA coming, I'm concerned about developing the site. I'm also concerned about some adjacent property owners. It appears that certain property owners that are just adjacent were large contributors to the mayor's campaign. So for that reason, tonight, I'm going to have to vote no.
Council Vice President Gagan?
Yes.
Council President Maruka?
I want to echo Councilman Turnbuck's comments with Mr. Roberts. This was something that once the VA they had widened their scope and they had opened this pre-selection sites, and he jumped right on it and was able to get Tom's River back in the running. And I want to thank him for that, and I vote yes. Now we'll move to the consent agenda. Anyone from the council have an item on the consent agenda they would like to speak about? I would ask for item O. We're going to have to table that till the meeting on June 9th. We do not have all the certifications in that. We were informed by our purchasing officer on that. So item O is the one I would like to acknowledge. Councilman Turnbach, any items on the consent?
Council President, I was wondering, was item K tabled as well, or is that on still?
I believe item K is still on. This is for District 2.
And then if we could just have a explanation of item G from someone, Council President, I greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have item O. And we have item G. Okay.
I'd also like to separate out, I don't know if we're going in order or not, but I thought you, B and C,
I'd probably,
Which one, Councilman Roderick? B and C?
B and C, yes.
Anyone else on the council?
Council President, Councilman Gagan here. I believe item K, I may have to abstain from, so if we could have a separate vote on that, as I'm a volunteer firefighter in District 2.
You got it. Okay, Destiny, do we have anyone from the public that had a question on any of the items on the consent agenda?
Yes, Art Anderson had a question on resolution N.
Okay, so he's in queue for the,
He has not provided a phone number yet, so no, but I'm still waiting for him to reply back with that. He did send in questions on N.
okay, and can you give me the number, letter one more time, please?
N as in Nancy.
Okay. Okay. All right. Destiny, is there anyone else?
No, ma'am, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Do you want to take the items separately?
You mean like to move the rest of the consent agenda? I'll move the rest of the consent agenda if that's what you'd like to do.
Were we doing that, or were we waiting for more public questions?
Well, it's been open for a while. I think we could just.
So then do we
Councilman
want to take
Turnback will
just,
second the consent agenda and the motion by Councilman Roderick. I think we've asked that B, C, G, K, and O be set aside for separate discussions. So,
And
but to those, I've moved the rest of the consent agenda and I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay. Motion made by Councilman Roderick, second by Councilman Turnbach to move the balance of the agenda with the exceptions noted B, C, N, G, K, O. Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach,
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick,
yes,
Councilman Kopp,
yes.
Councilman Lotano,
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
yes. And I have a motion on item O to table that to June 9th, which is our next council meeting.
Motion to table resolution O, yes. Councilman Lotano.
Councilman Gagan, I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Councilman Lotano, second by Council Vice President Gagan. Councilman Lotano,
Yes.
and this is to move item O to June 9th. Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick,
yes,
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The next is item G. Councilman Turnbull, do you want to speak on that, or would you like for me to chime in with you?
Council President, if you want to speak on it, I'd be fine. I just want to explain to the public what the council is doing. I'd be happy if you could speak to it, or our township attorney would like to speak to it.
This was actually, this item G on our agenda, it is basically amending our special event application. I had a conversation with Councilman Turnbuck. He called the other day because some other municipalities were trying to help the businesses out through outside dining once the governor does lift the executive order on outside dining. And we had a discussion in the land use meeting the other day, and it seemed that through our professional staff, through our attorney, through our planner, and also Mr. Chinkalian, that the best way to go, we had mechanism in place for outdoors. So why don't we just amend the special event application? And that's what we're doing tonight. This is going to afford a business that wants to, specifically a restaurant, they want to set up some dining outside. There'll be a mechanism there for them to do it. They are going to have to follow the guidelines. It will have to, safety and all precautions will have to be taken. It will be reviewed by our staff here. It will also go to the Fire Bureau, and it would also go to our police department. We are, for the specific time period, waiving the fee on that, so it won't be any additional cost to our business. But we thought we could have this on our agenda for this evening and in place. So once the governor does lift his executive order on dining and he does add the outside component, Tom's River would be ready and our businesses would be able to be able to set up and have their customers come and reopen their business for whatever percentage it is according to the governor's office there. So I spoke with Mr. Mackel, and he said there has been some inquiries coming in, and he was letting the public know that it was on our agenda for this evening, and that the council would have a mechanism there. So I want to thank Councilman Turnbuck for working on this, and also for the land use committee for meeting the other day and entertaining this and getting this on as quickly as possible. Okay, have a
Thank you,
motion.
Council President.
G?
I'd make a motion to move item G.
Second,
Motion made by Councilman Turnbuck, second by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Turnbuck?
I just want to echo the Council President Maruka's comments, and I would say everyone on this council is getting calls right now from small businesses with a desire to open. And with Executive Order 107 from the governor right now, we don't have the authority as a local municipality to just order that these small business restaurants be open, but we want to stand by and support our small businesses. And this is one way to show and demonstrate that when we either get the authority or when Executive Order 107 is amended to allow such small businesses to open, that Tom's River stands by you and will be prepared. So I vote yes. Thank you.
Councilwoman Yurick?
I'd just like to thank Mr. Roberts for doing the research. He really made it very easy for us to move forward with this. He had done the research before we met as the Land Use Committee and had the answer right there for us. So thank you. I vote yes.
Councilman Kopp?
I just want to thank the township for putting this resolution together. I think Councilman Turnbuck said it perfectly. And that being said, I vote yes.
Councilman Lotano?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan?
Yes.
Council President Maruka?
Yes. Okay, next would be items B and C. I was going to say for C, I know our chief is on this evening. He can attest to that.
Well, I just wanted a roll call on both, and I just wanted to speak briefly, if that's all right.
Sure. Do you want to hear from the chief or our engineer?
No, I respect the chief. We have the best chief in all of Ocean County. We have the best police force. It's just at a time like this when so many folks were furloughed, and we furloughed a bunch of folks to save $500,000, and at a time when so many folks are out of work, we're taking on 30 million more in debt. This is not a time to spend $200,000 on a shooting range or do a $156,000 construction project at the park. They're noble projects. They're certainly worthy of the taxpayer, but at a time like this, you don't you don't go out to dinner or go on vacation when you can't pay your mortgage. And that's the kind of position we're in right now. So unfortunately, while I would love to build a new shooting range at a time like this, I don't think we should be. So I'm going to vote, but I mean, we should be following, I don't know if we're going to do B and C together or separately, but that was all I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to put the chief on the spot. Like I said, I know he's out there advocating for his guys. He's a great chief, but I'm out here and seeing what's going on, and we're spending an awful lot of money, and it's a very bad time. So that's all I wanted to say about those two.
Just let me clarify that our CFO spoke, and we're not taking on $30 million in additional debt. This is just refinancing the notes to a bond.
I'm sorry, 30 million in debt tonight, 10 million in additional, 10 million. My apologies.
But it was at a better interest rate on that. Chief, do you have anything to comment on item C?
No, not unless anybody has any questions. Yeah, obviously, you know why we need it. We've had it for 40 years. We've never spent any money on it. It's always been just us volunteering and bringing equipment out there and parts and, beg, borrow, and stealing to make it work. And we had some mishaps. We had 2 over the last couple of years because we didn't have the baffles and the setup that we really should have by federal standards. It was legal, but it wasn't built the way it should be. So now it's just a time to do it the right way and not have any mishaps. It's been closed for about a year. We train on there a lot. It costs us money to travel to other PDs. They charge $100 a day. Not to mention we have 163 officers that we would displace, and we'd have to send them out of town with an hour turnaround time, which is gas and time, and which obviously equates to money. And it's just not a reasonable thing to do. We shut it down on good faith because we did have a mishap with Greenbrier. We didn't want that to happen again. And so this is the time to actually get this done the right way. And when you calculate the money over the last 40 years where it was nothing, it's thousands of dollars a year. We qualify twice a year. We qualify 4 times a year with rifle, which is why we also need the outdoor range. All our equipment is there. We have to qualify our SWAT team 16 hours a month, times 25 SWAT officers. So to take all those officers and make them go a half an hour to an hour out of town has been trying at best. And this is state regulations that we have to qualify. This isn't just something we like to do and train, but it's all mandatory.
Like I said, I respect you, Chief. It's just a very rough time right now. I mean, you could shoot down at Sure Shot for $10, and maybe we should just pay for the guys to go there. But then again, like I said, at a time like this, spending $400,000 combined after just furloughing all those guys to try to save $500,000. I'd love to support you tonight, and if this were in any other year, I'd be there with you. I just not going to be tonight. I apologize.
That's all right. I understand your concern. Absolutely, everybody has their right.
Chief, I've got a question for you. You've been using other towns' shooting range. Is there any opportunity for a shared service where other towns could, pay to use our range?
We could have people come into our range. Absolutely. The problem we have with going to other ranges is they're designed for their municipalities usually, for the size and how many lanes they need open to get their people through. So one of the issues we've been having is actually conflicting with their schedules. So we have 163 people we're trying to fit in on their range with their schedules, and other people renting their ranges, and they get overrun. And there's only certain times of the year, obviously, you can qualify with different weather conditions and things like that and schedules. So this range would have probably 12 lanes in it where we could probably have other departments come to us, some of the smaller departments, and do the same thing that Manchester and Jackson are doing. That's a possibility.
This would be indoor, correct?
We have the indoor range downstairs. This is all an outdoor range.
This would be $200,000 to do an outdoor.
Yeah, $190 to do an outdoor range, correct? Because we need the baffles to prevent any rounds from going higher than that mountain. And some of the tactics that we're using, which were also state regulated, actually caused the gun to tilt in a wrong angle, and a couple bullets flew over the top of the hill. So these baffles will prevent that from ever happening again. So we're looking at the safety of the public too.
Right now, we're shut down though, correct?
Yes, we've been shut down for over a year.
All right, thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Any other comment on item C? Any comment on item D?
Yeah, I have a comment on item B. So this was money that was already allocated last year, and this is just the award of a contract. It's money that's already allocated, was already set aside and approved by this council last year. So this is C directing the money because of the bidding process, it was delayed. And so that's why it's coming across. But canceling the project isn't gonna, yeah.
Councilwoman,
Sorry.
isn't there a grant, is it grant money? I think it was what, 20,000 for this project that was funding?
Yes, there's also grant money that was 20,000 that we've already acted as well.
Thank you so much. All right, let's just.
And I think, Matt, now more ever, just one more comment. I think people are going to be really hungry for this type of facility. It's going to be an outdoor facility for adults. Right now, all the gyms are closed. They've been closed. You know, this will be an opportunity that'll be safer for adults and that they'll be able to take advantage. And I think that the public's going to appreciate that right now.
Thank you. Okay, can we have a roll call on item B? Motion?
Move item.
A motion, then roll call.
Councilman Turnbuck will second Councilwoman Hurik's motion to move.
Roll call, please.
Sure. Item B, motion made by Councilman Yurek, seconded by Councilman Turnback. Councilwoman Yurek,
Yes.
Councilman Turnback,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Lozano,
Yes.
Councilman Rodrick,
No.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. Okay. And a motion on item C.
Move item C. And I'd like to thank the chief for his explanation.
Councilman Turnbuck, I'll second item C.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Yurek, seconded by Councilman Turnback to move item C. Councilwoman Yurek,
Yes, sorry, I muted myself.
Councilman Turnback,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Lozano.
Regarding both of these issues, there are millions of dollars in paving that needs to be done. There's a lot of upkeep on buildings and whatnot. There's going to be expenses. I know we don't want to spend the money. The town has to keep moving and there's things that need to be done. I vote yes.
Councilman Rodrick,
As I've said before, if this were another year or another time, I mean, we all want to do what's right by our police force. We have a great chief, we have a great force, but between B and C, it's $350,000. We furloughed a bunch of folks for 60 days, 45 days, save $500,000. So to then turn around and spend it like this, I think is insensitive. So respectfully, this time around, I'm going to have to vote no.
Council Vice President Gagan,
You're muted.
You're muted, Kevin.
Sorry about that. I was muted, unmuted now. This item agenda, as well as the previous one, I agree. None of us want to spend any money. This one was on previously. The chief was gracious enough to hold off. As somebody that has been there at the range, inevitably, we have a very large police department. A guy gets tied up at court, and next thing you know, he can't make the range day that's set up and using another township's range. You're working around their schedule, according to Attorney General guidelines, which are very strict. When an officer has to qualify, it's just a nightmare. And as a guy that's been up there in the past to that outdoor range, we always kind of joked about the green ooze coming out of the dump and whatnot. It has been a lot of guys committing their own labor, their own time, their own material, their own tools to make it what it's been for the past, I can say at least the past 30 years. It is much needed, and I think to try to save a buck when we're going to spend $10 in another account is kind of foolish. and they can qualify a whole squad of guys in a shift rather than, earmarking a couple weeks to rotate people through and getting them out of town and whatnot. But I do vote yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. Okay. Next would be item K. Can we have a roll call? Somebody move it, and we need a roll call vote on item K, please.
Move item K.
Councilman Turnback, I'll second that.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurek, seconded by Councilman Turnback. Councilwoman Yurek,
Yes.
Councilman Turnback,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
I need to abstain due to a conflict.
Councilman Lotano,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
I have to abstain as I'm a volunteer firefighter in Fire District 2.
and Council President Maruka.
Yes. And then I believe the last one on the agenda is item number N, and this was from Mr. Anderson. Mr. Roberts, could you just give a brief explanation on item N?
Yes, Madam President, I'll try. I believe this has to do with, and actually this may be something I should probably defer to the chief, because I believe
I'm
this
on
has
mute.
to do with
What's going
some
on?
of the equipment that the,
Check it out.
No, excuse me, item N is
Your live
designation
stream.
of the redeveloper for the property. This is just
Yeah,
an
it's 6
extension
minutes,
of the contract
But
oh,
Or-
okay.
this
I
is the Zoom.
McManaman.
That's the software.
For
which
McManaman,
then streams it out to
Scott
YouTube. That's
and
the back
Bauman
end of YouTube.
Our
YouTube's doing a live
redevelopers
stream.
for phase one.
Thank you, Madam
Learned a lot.
President. I had a different
Pretty cool.
item in
Yeah, I
on
feel
my
like I've got my
final
own little
earlier
YouTube
version of
channel
the
I set up
agenda. I
years ago.
apologize.
So I think
Yes,
I'll take it around with it.
these
See
have to do with the waterfront redevelopment
You know,
projects. There's
so it'll be kinda
their
cool. It's
escrows
neat,
have been
you know.
divided
Actually,
into
I'm getting
two
tired of
parts,
fucking this.
one for
To be very
each of the
honest with you,
two
we've been all
projects
freaking
of the two
sanitary.
parking lots
Most
and
of the stuff's up.
the downtown waterfront redevelopment area. So this is just an amended agreement with the it's a interim cost agreement amendment.
You know,
Okay.
unless you like
And it's
it.
just authorizing the to extend this agreement as well, because I know it was going to expire sometime next month, and we just wanted to get this in place.
No, they-
Right, there's they run for 6 months at a time, and it was due to expire again next month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anderson, I hope that answers your question. Destiny, anything else from Mr.
Well,
Anderson?
you don't know who's coming through because if they're.
Sorry, no, not at this time.
Okay, can I have a motion on item N?
Councilman Turnback, I'll move item N.
Second. Oh,
I'll
sorry.
second. Councilman Lotano.
motion made by Councilman Turnback, seconded by Councilman Lotano. Councilman Turnback,
Yes.
Councilman Lotano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurek,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
I'm going to abstain from item N.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda are the bills.
Councilman Turnback, I'll move the bill list.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Turnbuck, seconded by Councilwoman Yurek. Councilman Turnbuck,
Abstain from PO 20-2550 payable to the magistrates. PO 20-2443 payable to City Holzappel. PO 19-863, 20-893, 20-1453, and 20-2069 payable to law office of Dasty McGuckin. I'm a local attorney in town. I have conflicts with those. Yes to the balance.
okay. Councilwoman Yurek,
Abstain from PO 20-00162 payable to the Borough of Lavalette. Abstain from PO 19-00248, 20-01451, 20-01716, 20-02067, 20-022. This is the last number in there. 99, payable to Remington and Vernick Engineers, and abstain 20-02550, only item 14 as it pertains to recreation salaries, yes to the balance.
Okay, Councilman Cobb,
I need to abstain from the following: 20-02499 and 20-02478, 20-01454, 20-02068, and 20-02567, yes to the balance.
Councilman Latano,
Council President, does it appear that he's frozen?
Yes, it
All right,
it does.
I'm gonna walk next door and just let him know that he's frozen.
Yeah, I just let him know that as well, Councilman Turnbull.
Thank you.
Council President, if you want to move on down the list and then hopefully you can unfreeze.
To Councilman Latano, yes.
okay. Councilman Roderick,
I just have a quick question. First, I'd like to ask the township attorney a quick question. If that's okay?
In regard to the bill list, or do you want the CFO in regard to the bill list?
No, the township attorney. What I'd like to know is when a council person is abstaining from a particular vote, are they allowed to speak about that vote?
Generally, when you abstain, you're removing yourself from the vote, and you are not speaking on it, but you remain in the quorum necessary for the vote to carry. If you abstain for conflict or for a particular reason, then you are removing yourself not only from the vote, but from the quorum.
So could you just clarify that for me? So is a council person allowed to speak about a vote, or if they have a conflict? Can they actually talk about it, or can they not talk about it?
They should remove themselves from the issue. So they would not.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to clarify that for last week. My other question is, when someone has a conflict with the bills list, are they not supposed to identify who that conflict is with? So I know Ms. Urick does a great job of that. Mr. Turnbach does as well. They identify why they're conflicted and who they're conflicted with. It's my understanding that that's required. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, the vote, the council person abstaining would identify the bill they're abstaining from.
You're supposed to identify the biller, correct?
They abstain the specific bill, which includes the vendor, the amount, etc.
Okay, because some of the new folks aren't doing that, and I didn't want to point it out as individuals, but I just wanted to bring that up and get that out there on the record. I have no conflicts this evening, so I vote yes on the bills.
Councilman Latano,
He is still having some technical difficulties, but I will step away from my computer and he will step in.
I'm sorry about that. I have to abstain from 20. By the way, I could hear everything that was being said, so I'm up to speed on this. I have to abstain from 20-01952, payable to CME Associates only when it pertains to Locana Development, and 20-02069, payable to Dasty McGuckin only when it pertains to Locana Development. Yes to the balance.
okay. Next up is Council Vice President Gagan.
Okay. I only have one abstention. That's to Silverton First Aid Squad, where I'm a life member, to purchase order 20-02567 in the amount of $28,377.42. Hopefully that meets the criteria, Mr. Fitzsimmons.
It does, Councilman.
And last but not least, Council President Maruka.
Abstain to P19-00863 and 20-00893, 20-01453, and 20-02069. Payable Dasty McGuckin, Attorney at Laws. I have a conflict. Yes to the balance.
Next is elected official comment. Mayor Hill.
Thank you, Council President. First of all, I'd like to thank the council for passing the shared services agreement with BRIC. As you know, the Normandy Beach section is divided into both properties in BRIC and in Toms River. And this allows both communities to use the NJDOT grant to take care of street elevations, Broad Street and 5th Avenue in Toms River, and 6th and 7th in BRIC. As you know, there's flooding problems due to the sea level and the low-lying areas there. This will prevent that flooding. The flapper valves, as we know, don't work, particularly when the tide is high. So this hopefully street elevations have been successful in the past in cutting down on the flooding. Doesn't eliminate it totally, but it does do a pretty good job. And Bob Chancallion, our township engineer, is working with BRIC to get grants for both towns to take care of these roadways in Normandy. So I want to thank the council and also Bob Chancallion for doing that. Also, as you know, Fridays are food distribution days at 5 of our schools or 5 sites in Toms River and South Toms River. Again, this Friday, May 29th, 11 to 12:30, we'll be distributing food at SITA, at East Dover, Walnut, the 3rd Avenue parking lot, Northerly Beach, and South Toms River Elementary School. To date, each week, it's about 660 food boxes, which supply about 4 meals for a family of 4. And there's been a robust need for this with the food insecurity due to the layoffs and people being unemployed over these last 8 weeks. The governor is fond of saying that the data drives the dates. And I think it's important that we start to look at some of the numbers in Toms River. As of today, we have 486 active cases. If you look at the website, it's going to say we have 1,444, but that doesn't include the people who've recovered and been removed from the list. So we have 886 cases that are positive. Currently, 118 are in long-term care facilities. That means we've got 368 that are located in 302 addresses out of residential dwellings of 40,000. So the COVID positive people, it's about, if you don't live in a long-term care facility, it's about 1 in every 250 residents. Unfortunately, we've had 117 fatalities in Toms River. Again, the numbers are skewed toward long-term care facilities. 84 of them have occurred in long-term care facilities. 33 have been in the general population. So far in Ocean County, 80% of the fatalities have been 65 and older. So if you take the 33 that are not in long-term care and apply that data, the 80%, that means we have roughly 7 people that are under the age of 65. That breaks down to 1 in 13,000 population for a fatality. Based on the 33 that we have total in residential dwelling, it's 1 in 3,000. So the numbers have come down dramatically, and all the mayors, we have a weekly conference, now it's bi-weekly. All of the mayors have been requesting small retail open. We're looking at that includes restaurants. Tonight, I want to salute the council again for passing the resolution on outdoor dining. I think that's going to help. I also would encourage the governor not to wait until July 6th to start scheduling graduations. I don't see why the schedule can't be compressed and we start on the 15th. or the third week in June to do these graduations. They can be held on the football fields. The academies have all done it, and the government has invested $200,000 to $300,000 in each one of these young officers in their education and done it safely. So I don't see why we can't do the high school graduations and not push them into July when you're going to have students leaving for school. If they're athletes with fall programs, they're going to be leaving for training. We also have families that have vacations planned. So I think we should do it in June, around the same time that they would have been graduating anyway, and it can be done safely on the athletic fields. We're still waiting for guidance on our summer camps and pools that had been promised. They told us to go ahead and start the initial planning, but we're still waiting for guidance. So I'd encourage the governor to adhere to the data drives the dates. The data in Toms River has come down to a very small number of people who are positive and a very small number of fatalities. Any fatality is a tragedy. I want to emphasize that, but they have been concentrated in the long-term care facilities and not in the general population. And I think we need to get ourselves back to a sense of normal. I would call for the schools to open up in the fall. The students, the distance learning is not as beneficial as them interacting with their classmates, their teachers, and their coaches. And I think the risk that we're taking now with social distancing and everything else is going to mitigate a lot of that. So it's time for us to start the economy. It's time to open the retail businesses. Dog grooming seems to be essential, but people grooming isn't. So it's time to get a little sense of reality and normalcy back into our life. And I call on the governor to compress his schedule and let's get everything opened up sooner rather than later. And again, I thank the council for tonight for the resolution on the restaurants and also the resolution on the shared services with Rick. I salute you. Thank you very much. That's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. As we go through public comment, I would just like to remind the general public that will be opening up, as we go through the council comment, that the general public comment will be opening up shortly. If you have any questions, we're going to have you email them to questions@tomsrivertownship.com. Please include your name, street address, town, and phone number in there, and we will be taking those questions. Councilman Gagan.
I have no further comments this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Cobb.
I also don't have any further comments. Thank you, Council President.
Councilman Roderick.
Well, I'd like to bring up Mr. Latano's, abstention earlier on to the bills list. He said he was conflicted with Assemblyman McGuckin and he could not vote for that bill.
I didn't say that. What I said was there's a bill and it says I only abstain from the Lotano development portion of it. I applied for something in zoning, and this is just reimbursing my money. That's all it has to do.
So you do not have a conflict. You're saying you do not have a conflict with the Assemblyman?
I have a conflict with those two bills, and that's it.
And why do you have a conflict with those bills?
Because they're being paid to my company.
Okay, so you're not conflicted with the Assemblyman?
Correct. The bill is for, one is for $276.25 and the other one is for $81.
Okay, all right. Well, I certainly sounded like you were conflicted there for a second, so that would have put into question last week's, rather 2 weeks ago, our vote as far as that no big contract was concerned. But going back to my comments tonight here, again, we took on $10 million in new debt. You got, $400,000 in unnecessary spending at a time when we were furloughing, a number of folks to save $500,000 in 6 weeks or what have you. The spending is out of control. I also have some concerns with this redevelopment plan. If the VA is pulling out of there, particularly given that a very large contributor to Mo's campaign, Jeremy Grunin, he owns over $20 million worth of property adjacent to that area in need of redevelopment. I don't know why we would be encouraging development in that area if we're not going to have the VA. I could see if we wanted to bring the VA hospital to all the seniors that we have in our community, but we certainly don't want to see more apartments on Hooper Avenue. And a lot of businesses are going under. There's going to be a tremendous amount of retail space that's empty. So I don't see what the pursuit is and what the rush is. So again, we need to control development and we need to control taxes and spending. And I'm going to continue to point these things out and continue to fight for the taxpayer. That's all I have for this evening.
Councilman. Or Councilman Turnbuck, either one available?
Sure. Every one of us on this council supports our local businesses and our local economy and wants nothing more than to have the authority to open up. We recognize that we are unique from other parts of the state in that many of our businesses are dependent on the summer tourism season for survival. We at the same time want to ensure the safety of all of our residents. At this point in time, I am respectfully calling upon Governor Murphy to amend Executive Order 107 with the purpose of granting local municipal governing bodies the legal authority to regulate local businesses. COVID-19 has been a learning process for all of us. It has impacted different parts of our state in varying degrees. And that is why respectfully, it is time to transition from one general statewide executive order and allow for local municipal oversight with a continued focus on resident safety. Respectfully, it's time to allow local municipal governing bodies to govern, to balance resident safety while ensuring that our local economy does not suffer irreparable harm. On a separate note, I want to speak my heart a little bit about an issue today. The township got a call on a homeless encampment that was located downtown. And it shouldn't surprise anybody that we start to have homeless encampments in the spring because Code Blue is shut down in March. This year in Code Blue, we serviced 193 different individuals in Toms River that came to our site to have shelter. And the wonderful people at Just Believe Inc. provided that shelter, warm meals, place to stay, helped them transition from the woods and in hopefully to some secure homes. But when Code Blue closes in March, many of our homeless return to the woods for shelter. And I had noticed several weeks ago that behind the Red Carpet Inn, there were a couple of tents up. And I also noticed in the woods behind that, there were more tents up. And it didn't surprise me because that's where the homeless go. I've called upon the county since I've been on this council to work with this township to provide a year-round transitional housing center. What happens when people call in to the township and say, we see this tent out, what do we do? The township goes out and tells them they can't stay there. And what does that do? It drives the homeless deeper into the woods. They're not cattle, they're human beings. We have an animal shelter here. We have no homeless shelter. Ocean County has 15 animal shelters. And what we did today, we responded out there and said, you can't stay here. And what do the homeless do? They go deeper into the woods. And it's time. It's time to start treating the homeless as the human beings they are. We can't keep doing this. We have a place for animals. We can't even send the homeless to the animal shelter. Think about it. I want the county to hear us. We're not going away. We want to work with you. You have land, you have money to buy open space. Please help us. 193 different individuals just in Toms River. That's not counting Lakewood. It's time to do something about this. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Turnbuck. Councilwoman York.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to remind everybody as we're coming to the point where we're going to start reopening, but for now we're still on safer at home restrictions. So I just wanted to remind everyone because people are starting to feel really, suppressed. And so there's ways to come together virtually and safely, whether you're in person or online. So you can come together safely in person, outside, in groups of up to 25 now. The governor has changed that this past week. And you space yourselves apart, wear masks. If you can't space yourselves apart, bring some hand sanitizer, keep washing your hands, try not to touch your face, wash your hands over and over, sanitize them over and over. That's the point. If you're gonna stay together,
Lori, you just got muted.
Sorry, thank you. Virtually, Zach G. Applaud Our Kids has been having open mic nights at 7 p.m. on Thursdays. So that's one way for people to come together and still celebrate their talents. And then just this past week, there was an event called Meet Kindness that had a group of people come together virtually and bake bread together, which is a very classic thing to do. And Exit 82, they have hashtag create together. So it's hashtag CRE82GETHER. And if you just tag them, they'll put your artwork up or your dance or your song, whatever it is, just to keep yourself feeling good about self, your friends, and keeping connected. So that's really important. We've been really successful, as the mayor pointed out with the statistics. The stay-at-home order has been very, very successful in terms of curbing the COVID-19 crisis to a certain extent. Of course, as he said, every death is tragic, and some people have developed some symptoms that, hopefully will resolve over time. But now that we're going to start, we haven't overwhelmed our medical facilities, we haven't overwhelmed our ventilator capacity. So those are all wonderful things. But as many of us have said, the financial impact has been really tragic. And so as we begin to open again and recover, just don't forget to keep washing your hands, wearing masks, and social distance, but support our local businesses. If at all possible, you could still order delivery. And then once we start opening, go out and have a nice al fresco dinner. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman York. Councilman Latano.
Thank you, Council President. The farmers market held by the bid started up last Wednesday, so it'll be going on tomorrow. It's at 700 Main Street from every Wednesday from 11 to 5. I was there last week. It was very safe, people wearing gloves and masks. So the vendors are limited right now because of social distancing, but as things loosen up, more and more vendors will get there. I want to talk about small business. So I'm a small business owner. And as a business owner, I'd like to see businesses start to open up, but safely. Our small businesses in our area, they're in trouble. Not only the businesses, but the employees of the business. We need to get them up and running safely. Community Medical Center and staff did a great job handling this pandemic, and they've taken every opportunity to be prepared if and when the COVID-19 cases start to go back up, and hopefully they do not. The small and medium-sized businesses are huge in our community with commerce and rentables and all sorts of things. We really need them to reopen. They need our support. For any of you who have gone to a food store, pharmacy, Target, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, any of these places, you no doubt have noticed how many people are piled into there. On Mother's Day weekend in Lowe's, there were hundreds of people in that store. You're telling them they can open, and you're telling a mom and pop restaurant, for example, can't, even if they do it safely and distance. They need to do it safely with PPE and social distancing, but they need to do it. The hospitals are far from overwhelmed. With this nice weather, things are loosening up. You could see it on the roads. There's more people going out. So far, luckily, the cases have not spiked. Hopefully that stays that way. I want to thank our doctors, nurses, and hospital staff. They deserve our utmost support and gratitude. So stay safe when you're going out there. No unnecessary risk. And if you, of course, have any risk, underlying health condition, or anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, continue to quarantine yourself and socially distance. One more thing. There's a new bill being proposed by Senator Holzapfel that proposes that after 15 days of executive orders, talks would need to be done with the legislation, and the public would have an input. It's a very interesting idea because right now this seems like no one has any idea of when this is going to end. And it would be nice to have a local, senator, congressman, assemblyman with Ocean County's best interests in mind. At least they'd have a say in it. It's an interesting idea. And also letter G today in the consent agenda, which was the outdoor dining. Once those restrictions are lifted, that's a fantastic thing to start getting these businesses open. They need our support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councilman Latano. I just want to talk about just a couple things. The mayor had spoke about our food drives on Friday. They are going to continue. People have asked, are we going to stop it once we get to Memorial Day weekend? And the answer is no. We're set up for this Friday. And the volunteers that come out and work that have been our PD, our CERT, our fire departments, our EMS, CSOs, school board members, just members of our community. They come out and they support these food drives every Friday. Also on Fridays for the past few weeks, we've had DRJ Catering come out, and he has been with Operation Barbecue, and they provided over 4,000 meals to the residents of this community, in addition to approximately another probably 3,000 or 4,000 meals for first responders. Can't thank them enough. Last Friday was the last week they were with us, but they did make an impact on this community. Memorial Day weekend, come and gone. That was a benchmark to see how things were going to unfold. And I got to tell you, it was probably the most difficult Memorial Day weekend that we've had to endure as a township. Our businesses were not open, specifically a lot of the businesses over on the beach. But I got to give my hats off to our OEM, to our administrator, and the people that came together to help us get some of the short-term rentals up and running. Everybody was giving guidelines on how to clean rentals from our OEM department and how to maintain the CDC guidelines for that. With all our beach communities, we have more signage than probably I'd like to see over Nortley Beach right now, but there's signage all over, saying the social distancing, wear a mask if you feel comfortable wearing a mask. It's encouraged, but it's not required. So we have things going there. We actually sent that information out to all our private beach communities. So Toms River Township is standing as one community. Even though we're many little beach communities over there, we're still one community. One of the concerns were Class 1 officers. The Chief and Sergeant Pachonsky did have Class 1 officers out. Do we have as many as we'd like to? No, but that's something that we're hearing from our state police, Colonel Callahan, but they're going to be working with the local municipalities that rely on specials and Class 1 and Class 2 officers to get them through the summer season. And they'll be holding classes there shortly. Some of the other things that happened this weekend were there was misinformation out on Facebook. And most people think, well, if it's on Facebook, it has to be true. And there were some things about the township, defying executive orders and lifting bans. We did not. And I can only encourage our residents and our visitors to get their information from our official website, from our official Facebook page. So there isn't any information. So we're all saying the same thing. And last but not least, I think Councilman Turnbuck put it very eloquently. The time has come where the governor is going to have to, start moving this forward, getting our businesses open. Nobody just wants to open up the door and have everybody rush in. This is going to be, it will be done in modification. It will be done with safety as the biggest precaution, and it will be do it in a timely fashion. But that time has come. That time is now. We need to get our small businesses open, our retail. We need to get our dining establishments open. There's guidelines out by the New Jersey Restaurant Association that show safe ways. They even have for diners, even what to expect when you go into establishment now, that the server might be wearing a mask, the kitchen staff will be masked up and they'll be gloved up. But the time has come that we really need to move forward and get our businesses open. And I was very happy to see that we were able to get item G on the agenda this evening, especially for the businesses over on the beach, because they only have such a short period of time. Businesses in Ortley Beach and say Chadwick and Normandy and Ocean Beach, and to take a hit from a Memorial Day weekend really cost them a lot. I'm just hoping that as we progress into June and into the 4th of July weekend, that businesses are open, people will be able to repopulate their businesses, and rent their properties and come back to what we expect for our summertime to look like. That's all that I have for this evening. I would like to open it up to public comment now. Destiny,
Council President, before we go to public comment, I had one more question for Mr. Fitzsimmons. Is that all right?
Councilman Roderick?
Yes, I said, I had one more question for Mr. Fitzsimmons.
And your question is?
Oh, okay. Mr. Fitzsimmons, you know, earlier on, I asked you if it were proper for someone to speak on an issue that they had to abstain from. So last week, when the council voted to appoint Assemblyman McGuckin to be Township Director of Law, both Council President Maria Maruca and Councilman Turnbach spoke about the appointment during the course of comment prior to the vote. And I do believe that voids the vote. I also believe that there is a potential here that Mr. Latano has a conflict with the Assemblyman and voted. So I'm asking you if you would please investigate Mr. Latano's abstention today from the bill, which he read out about the Assemblyman. And I'm also asking for guidance as to whether or not the commentary that was offered by Council President Maria Maruca and Councilman Turnbach voided the vote. I don't necessarily need an answer from you tonight, although I would like one. And I'm wondering whether or not we should hold a new vote, you know, at another time. Should that have to come back up now on the agenda next time around? Does it void the appointment?
Councilman, I would like to time to review the comments from the last meeting. I don't recall them in the same fashion.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Thank you. I do recall what Councilman Tano said this evening, and you are mischaracterizing what he said. He made his abstention and voted for a general issue, but abstained on two bills within that issue that impacted his company. That is commonplace. Since you have been on council, you have heard various people indicate that they're abstaining on a bill to an engineer as to it pertains to a bill to their company, but voting on the others. So what he did is completely in line with what has occurred in the past. It's completely in line with his ethical and governmental responsibility. I don't want to rely, frankly, on a recollection given to me. If that's going to be investigated, number one, it would be at the will of council, and that would have to be voted upon by council.
Okay, but you then are going to you're going to review last week's comments to see if in fact Ms. Maruca and Council President Maruca and Councilman Turnbach spoke about the issue?
Not unless the entire council determines that is the way it should go, or the administration committee. I wouldn't do so.
I would have to put a motion out there to direct you to do such.
You could.
No, you cannot do a motion from the floor. The council rules, a motion cannot come from the floor. It would have to go from you.
It doesn't. Don't we follow Robert's rules? So you don't want me to make a motion, in other words, to review the footage as to whether or not you improperly spoke about an appointment, a resolution that you had a conflict with.
I abstained on?
Yes. In other words, earlier on this evening, I asked Mr. Fitzsimmons if you were in fact allowed to speak about a resolution that you had a conflict on, and he had said that no, you're supposed to fully abstain and withdraw yourself from that conversation. So what I asked the attorney to do was to review the footage and to see if in fact that, voided the vote. But you're saying I can't make a motion to ask the attorney to do that? I mean,
Not by the council rules that were adopted.
interesting. Okay, then. All right. Thank you, Mr. Fitzsimmons.
If we have no further comment, Destiny, can we open it up for public comment, please? Do we have any?
have two callers. One is Mr. Art Anderson and the other is Mr. James Rowland.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, can we put the first caller through?
Yes, Council President. Coming in.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
How you doing? My name is, can you hear me? Okay. My name is Arthur Anderson. I live at 12 Park Street, Tom's River, New Jersey. I had a question regarding the resolution N. When I read N, it said block 658, lot 25. My question is, when I pull that up, it comes up for the property at 244 Main Street. I was wondering, is that correct?
That resolution N is for the redevelopment area downtown. Mr. Roberts, are you on the call? You can pull up that lot and block, please.
Yes, Council President, I am on the call. I will check that out. It was, could the block and lot be repeated, please?
Yes, it was 658, lot 25.
Bear with me a moment.
Sure.
Yes, block 658, lot 25 is the actual address is 27 Iron Street. It's the parking lot at the top of Iron Street, directly opposite or somewhat opposite the Wells Fargo in the back portion of that block. Block 658 is the block bounded by Main Street, Iron Street, and Water Street. It's one of the.
Okay, so it's not 244 Main Street then?
That's correct. Block 658,
Okay.
lot 25 is 27 Iron Street, according to the database that I'm looking at in the GIS system.
Okay. That's my only question. The only thing I want to say. The only thing I want to say is I want to thank the council for making the call-in mode available.
Mr. Anderson, from what I see, block 658, lot 55 is 240 Main Street.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr.
Okay,
Anderson?
I'll look at it again. No, that's it. Just like I said, I want to thank the council for making the call-in mode available. It does help a lot.
Thank you. Mr. Jennings, can we have our next caller, please?
Yes, Council President. Coming in.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Please have name and address for the record, please.
Jimmy Rowland, 3437 Bergen Avenue.
And Mr. Owen, your question, please.
Before I get to my question real quick, I really would like to thank the council tonight for being so strong in their stance on helping us open up the economy in Tom's River in a responsible way. Small businesses are dying every day, and all they want is for their dreams not to be crushed by this thing. And it's nice to see the council come together and issue those words in such a strong way. My question tonight is we've seemed to have moved really quickly on from last week with that political hit job done on Councilman Roderick disguised as local governance. My question is, why is the attorney we gave a no bid contract to last week not in our meeting and is in the Jackson Township meeting right now? And doesn't conflicts like that really affect the residents of our town? And why are we not hiring people that are independent to take care of the wishes of Tom's River residents and, you know, really look into things like that?
Thank you for your comment. Mr. Fitzsimmons is our township attorney, and he's here with us this evening.
That's not the question I asked, though. That's not the question I asked.
Excuse me, do you want an answer?
Sir, what I was going to comment on is that this is the time for public comment. It is not ask questions specifically to any elected official or to any staff.
So as a resident, sir, I have no right to ask the people that we elect questions?
That's not what I said.
Okay, it sounded like it, okay.
This is the time for public comment. If you need information, it generally is a request, and the administrator attempt to get the information and have the appropriate person respond to you, whether it be a council person or staff.
I asked the question to the council as a whole. So if it's just a comment, then that's fine. I made my comment. I found what the council did to Councilman Roderick last week to be disgusting. It was political theater, it disguised as local governance, and it totally affects our entire political system in this town and why people are so ineffective in getting out to vote. Awarding that contract to that assemblyman who has 30 jobs and multiple contracts with his towns, law firm in multiple towns, is just another symptom of what's wrong with our town. And the fact that so many of you laid down and allowed it is pretty disgusting. But I wish all you folks a good evening, and thank you for what you did for the economy of Toms River tonight.
Okay, do we have any other comments, Destiny?
There are no other call-ins at this time, no.
Have we allowed sufficient time to make a motion?
Do you think we have sufficient time yet?
Sure.
If someone would like to make a motion to close public comment,
Motion to close the public comment for this evening.
Councilman Turnbuck, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to move into executive session.
Councilman Turnbuck, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 we have to close out this. Sure you have to close out? Yes, however.
Public Law 1975 permits the exclusion of the public, requiring confidentiality and or of a privileged nature, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean and State of New Jersey as follows. The Township Council will now conduct a private executive session. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed and or acted upon is as follows. Matters of personnel,
Really nice.
land acquisitions and contract negotiations. The following specific items to be discussed and or acted upon are as follows. Personnel issues of the Township Clerk's office and administration, review of status of all real property acquisitions, possible acquisition of the Surf Club property, and economic conditions due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is anticipated that the deliberations conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Council that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. It was motion made by Councilwoman Yurk, seconded by Councilman Turnbuck, with all in favor to go into public executive session at 7:22 p.m.
Thank you, Allison. Okay, council, we're going to have to quit out of this meeting and go into the Zoom meeting. I'll be Zoom into the Teams meeting, sorry.
Just let me know when you guys are ready so I can put the live stream back on.
Just need to wait for the conference room, right? Because otherwise we have
We have enough.
5. We do.
All right. 1 second.
My video?
We are back on YouTube live stream.
Mhm.
Live stream is running.
Okay, we're just waiting on the conference room to rejoin.
Do I turn it down a little low? Council President's having some difficulty, or
Yes, we're working on it.
do we need her to close the meeting?
We need the clerk.
You need the clerk, right?
We do.
Right.
Run upstairs to my computer.
It's like the Brady Bunch mailer.
I think I've been the target of that a few times. Oh, I know I'm not muted. Yeah.
I only wish I had the Kentucky Fried Colonel Sanders suit for that one. Man, that would have been great. My goodness.
Motion to
Even
go
while
back
we're
into
waiting
public session.
Second, Councilman Gagan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Oh, do we have to do
Councilman
anything else? Sorry.
No. All in
Okay.
favor? Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Gagan. I'll second that.
Thank you, everyone.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
It's nice seeing you all.